What's an evil company not enough people talk about? Brookdale, the senior care/assisted living megacorp. Senior care in the US is fucking terrifying, and they're at the center of it. Abuse, neglect, grifting survivors into estate locking deals. Brookdale is evil. And most of us will have to deal with them or someone like them as we're entering our most vulnerable adult years. Pearson VU, did none of you go to college and shell out way too much money? Or take a standardized test? The Susan G. Komen Foundation, the reason pink is everywhere for breast cancer awareness, is a crooked organization that not only pockets the majority of the incoming donations, but actively restricts other cancer research fundraising ventures. No Pharma, formerly known as Purdue Pharma. They are the main character of the opioid crisis. HCA, Healthcare Corporate of America. The largest, for-profit hospital system in the country, world probably. Imagine if Walmart owned your hospital, that would be an improvement over HCA. Herbalife. Absolute trash scam ruining people's lives. Value Village. They trick people into thinking they are a non-profit, take donations that could be going to people who need them, and charge insane prices. DuPont. Watched Dark Waters yesterday? Chiquita. PG&E. They've burned down California several times, killing a number of our citizens here. Then having the audacity to play money games with the families of the deceased or those who've lost homes. Fuck 'em. Johnson & Johnson knew they had asbestos in their baby powder and still sold their products, causing countless cases of ovarian cancer and mesothelioma. Source. Elsevier. Established a near monopoly of academic journals. Charge scientists to publish in them, in the thousands, also charge the public to read them, subscription also in the thousands. Convince other scientists to review the scientific content for free, exploiting younger scientists who need to build their CV. Basically putting a paywall on the results of government tax dollar-funded research. Don't get me started on how major universities deal with STEM PhD students. Bringing people in as students, make them work 40+ hours a week in lab, purposefully misclassify them as students when really they're workers, apply for large government grants using data generated by these students, make them do all the grading for the undergrad classes, and then complain when the students are begging for $40K/year. Instead tell them they're lucky that as students they don't have to pay tuition to be there. At the end of 5 to 7 years of this treatment they'll give you a PhD scam. Tyson Foods, Cargill, National Beef Packing Company, and JBS. Even if you'd scoff about animals, they are pretty awful to the people who work at their slaughterhouses, and those four are like 85% of the market, so they also greatly exploit the farmers who raise animals for them. Luxottica. Pretty much a monopoly on the vision care and product market. They own just about all fashion eyewear and eye care outlets. Hence the ridiculous prices. De Beers, the largest diamond company in the world, has been exploiting workers in the world's poorest nations for 135 years. What's the worst physical pain you ever felt? Gout. I thought lovingly about removing my foot with a hacksaw. Trigeminal neuralgia. Excruciating stabbing pains triggered by any and everything. You can't touch your face, brush your teeth, eat, kiss, lay on your side, nothing involving your mouth. It's like a relentless ice pick stabbing you or a million electric shocks. Sooner or later, you will want to die. That's why they call it suicide disease. Opened up a pressure cooker while it was still on the stove back in the 90s. 40% of skin surface burned and my heart is now shit on a stick. Hockey puck at 80 km/h vs my right testicle. Resulting in a testicular rupture and a surgery 2 days later and didn't lose it either. Ovarian torsion from a giant cyst. Worse than a broken neck and childbirth. EDA, the broken neck was from a car accident at 17. I snapped 2 of the spines that anchor your shoulder muscles off the back of my vertebrae. Not paralyzed, just incredible pain and a long healing process. One more edit. I later delivered a 9 pounds 5 ounces baby all naturally with no pain meds or interventions. I would rather have 6 more just like it than another ovary twist. Pilonidal cyst, right on your tailbone, from snowboarding and then having to sit on a 4-hour flight. Doesn't sound like much, but if you've had one, sitting upright was hell. A wasp once got trapped under my eyelid whilst I was out walking, not sure how many times it stung me but it was horrific. Pretty much shut me down for an hour. Sneezed and herniated a disc in my back. Couldn't walk for 5 days. This was almost 2 months ago and I can still barely stand for longer than 5 minutes at a time. Edit to add, after reading some of the replies to my comment, I am one of the lucky ones apparently. I feel bad for all of you and sorry, but I hope I don't have this problem as long as all of you have. Testicular torsion. I was 17 and didn't know what it was, thought it might be blue balls, so waited until it was the size of a grapefruit and in excruciating pain and had mom take me to the ER. Half my testicle was dead but I got a Demerol drip and all was good after that, but oh boy, that pain was significantly worse than the kidney stones. Edit. Wow, didn't realize there were so many members of the Twisted Nut Club. Like I said, mine happened at 17 and wasn't addressed until day 3. At that point I couldn't sit down or drive due to the massive nut that was preventing me from closing my legs. Anyhow, much of the tissue, organ, was not savable, so the surgeon had to remove a fair amount. Now I've got some testicle left and also a whole bunch of scar tissue. It's gross and I had low sperm count for a while, but now I've got 2 kids, so. Good thing is when they opened me up the doc said head lasso the other testicle, my right one in this case, to the side so it wouldn't face the same fate as the dead left nut. But guess what? 2 years later I woke up one morning and felt a familiar pain. I was boarding a plane that morning but I knew WTF was going on, so I called ahead and had it operated on later that day. I probably should have sued the original surgeon for testicular negligence but I never pursued it. Met. Years later, about 10 years ago now, my wife and I headed down the coast so I could race a 50k in slow. Woke up what I thought were butterflies and went through the whole process. Ended up barfing and passing out and my wife drove me, gingerly but still painfully, to the ER where they looked at me and said, well, he's either in labor or he has a kidney stone. Yep, a hefty 3mm stone lodged in my ureter. That SHT was painful but still nothing compared to the twisted nut. Edit 2 tippies. Kidney stones and it's not close. Edit, hijacking my own comment because people are asking about prevention, drink more water than you do now. Just hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Abscessed tooth. But wait, let me finish. Abscessed tooth after the dentist removed the wrong tooth, the one next to the abscessed tooth, on the way home when the local wore off. Edit, by far my most popular comment over, damn. Thanks. So, a lot of people asking about lawsuits. Unfortunately, that was not an option. This was a low-income state-sponsored thing that the dentists volunteered for, and part of getting them to volunteer was a no-liability thing. Plus at the time I kind of figured I'd probably explained which tooth wrong rather than him just pulling the wrong one. I'm guessing I probably could have held the state liable, but at the time I was much younger and not very savvy, so I never pursued it. I've noted a couple of people say that kidney stones are more painful than abscessed teeth. Now I've had kidney stones, and I'm guessing you didn't let me finish P also, abscessed teeth can vary in pain intensity, as can kidney stones. Anyways, I can't keep up with all the replies to save my life, but I appreciate the discussion from everyone. Gallbladder attacks. Shingles and cervical spinal stenosis. Stepping on a stingray. And I've given birth before. Had my wisdom teeth cut out. Halfway through one tooth the medicine wore off. They couldn't renumb it as it was halfway hanging out of my mouth. So I felt everything as they finished removing my wisdom tooth. What's the freakiest thing you've done in bed? Dressed up as a vampire and hid under the sheets waiting for my wife to come home. Had a sneezing fit while eating pussy. Could not stop laughing after. Let a sorority girl handcuff me to the bed, knowing she didn't have the key. Her sisters cut me out with bolt cutters later that evening. Banged as soon as we woke up, and when I was coming she breathed her morning breath right into my nose. I came so hard. Not my proudest fuck, but I liked it. There was this one time I laid down and blacked out to have a diabetic seizure. My roommate noticed and called for paramedics. I distinctly remember trying to thrash around to grasp something to pull myself up. To everyone else though it just looked like I was wildly punching myself in the dick. Also I'm told I kicked a police officer several times during that seizure. I took one sock off and I also let my leg hang out from the bed where the monster could catch me. While masturbating I had a super intense orgasm. I thought everything was fine but when I looked down I realized I pooped the bed. Fucked 2 girls on my Transformers bed sheets. Slept so hard my toes cramped up. Dog started humping the pillow next to me while I was humping my wife. I slapped his ass yelling let's go. She busted out laughing while I mad art on her back. Then we went to Taco Bell, all three of us. Put a champagne cork in my bum and farted it out for my ex-wife's amusement, but I shit the bed and then cried. I ate boiling hot soup with my shirt off in bed. Stuck my thumb in her ass in doggy, then she shit all over my hand and I threw up on her back. My wife and I occasionally sleep naked, that's not the freaky thing, but it will become important later. I woke up one morning to find myself covered in random brown streaks. Legs, arms, and a big spot on my stomach. I looked over at my wife and said, "What the hell happened?" As I noticed her whole back and arms were also covered. Turns out, she was eating chocolate chips in the bed, forgot them, and the bag spilled open and melted between us while we slept. We laughed it off, but was definitely a terrifying thing to wake up to. Well, when I fingered her, she shit down my arm.